Was initially engineering graduate when I joined. The moment we shifted from EPC to EPCM, substantially, my father insisted that co-ed schools are much better for genders of both genders. So they mix like I'm looking up to a position of a CFO position to be a board member.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, the podcast series by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Tanay All, and today we've got a true trailblazer in the world of finance. Imagine a career that spans over 3 decades, transforming complex financial landscapes in some of the most high stake industries, from petrochemicals to project finance. Our guest today is not just an expert, she's a powerhouse of strategy, negotiation, and innovation. She's the Deputy General Manager of Corporate Finance at Haldia Petrochemicals, where she's re engineered projects, cut costs by 30%, and helped steer some of the biggest deals in the business. From navigating financial crisis to steering multi-million dollar projects to success, she's seen and conquered almost every challenge in the book. Please join in welcoming with me Miss Ranjana Datta Bandyopadhyay. We welcome you on the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure being with this team today and with Directors Institute. It has been a great experience. So I'm really happy to join this interview today.
The pleasure is all ours, ma'am. Starting with the first question, that your career has taken you through a variety of roles, from finance and project management to procurement and corporate strategy, all while navigating the complexities of some incredibly large organizations. Ma'am, looking back, when you first started, was there a moment or a decision that set you on this path? I mean, what was it that truly ignited your passion to finance and somewhere, I guess, led you to where you are today?
Oh, yes, that was indeed really an interesting experience. I was initially engineering graduate when I joined, and I was looking into, the technology and the technology sales to consultants, clients. So, and there was also I also looked into the product sales. So, what was happening in when I went it for the negotiations with the clients, the customers, I had to discuss the LC terms, the payment terms, and the return on investment for the projects and the LC discounting. So these were eventually these would come up during the commercial discussions. And like I was like myself, I thought I was talking through a smoke screen, not intended, but like it was with not a full knowledge of the subject. So that's where I decided that I really need to strengthen my stronghold in finance. And that's when I started to look into the various aspects of doing an MBA in finance. I enrolled into this course, a 3 year full time course, and I emerged as a more strong into this field. Not so I little did I realize that day, that what I had started to supplement my engineering knowledge would eventually become my mainstream. So I grew my passion for the subject. And what happened, I took it up as my career along with, engineering background, which was definitely to help me in my functions, various functions and various role plays thereafter.
Lovely, ma'am. Ma'am, during your time at Haldia Petrochemicals, you were able to achieve an impressive 30% reduction in project costs, a feat not many can claim. I can imagine how challenging that must have been, especially with the high stakes involved. Ma'am, could you take us through what went into this achievement? I mean, what strategies did you implement and how did you motivate your team to rally behind such an ambitious goal?
Yes, so that when I try to recall that experience, something which I treasure even today. So what had happened is basically the company had come out of an expansion project. And so the loans attached and it went a bit longer than expected. So, there were cost, escalations and time extensions. So we were not in that good a shape. But this particular project, this was a specialty chemical manufacturing of a specialty chemical, which fetches really good premium in the market. So this project was being thought of, but then again, because of the considerations of finance and all, was being dropped. So things were happening. So as a team, along with certain cross-functional members, we decided let's do it because this might help the company. 1 year hence, it would have a short implementation time of 1.5 years, and the budget we thought of initially would have been around 350, 400 crores. So
Hmm.
we thought let's go ahead and do it. Now the challenge was the we could not afford to take external finance because it was already substantial. So we had planned to do this project, out of our own internal resources. So we had to cut down on the budget. So we sat, this team of ours, a cross-functional team, we sat and we thought of how to go about reducing the cost. So, initially we had thought about an EPC mode of doing it. The moment we shifted from EPC to EPCM, substantially the cost came down because there was a sharing of responsibilities with the technology expert and with us. So by that way, we brought down the cost by almost 20%, shifting from the mode itself. Then this project had a lot of imported components. So almost 70% were imported. So why not use EPCG benefit? So we thought of an EPCG benefit, and that was to the tune of 7.5 to 10% of was the customs duty on a 70% procurement. It easily yielded around 5% of additional savings on the cost. So we really brought down the cost, and thereafter the team suggested, why don't we go and identify lot many inventories which were there from the earlier project and
Hmm.
not used. And so we had to go and identify what all inventories were actually lying not used and could be used for this particular project.
Hmm.
So there was substantial inventory which we could use, and as a result, the actual cost really came down. But that was with long hours of thought processes going in, lot of research. We were trying to find out ways, brainstorming, those knit the team members together. And the best part of it, we were actually able to complete this project within the budget and the timelines. And this particular team was identified as ones with a fire in the belly, quote
Hmm.
unquote.
Wow.
No, and this future project, the current one, which we are almost a 4,000, 5,000 crore project, it's the same team which has been given the responsibility of completing the project. So it was a great experience.
Sometimes teams do stick together and make wonders happen. It's a beautiful thing. Ma'am, as Deputy General Manager of Corporate Finance at Haldia Petrochemicals, you have overseen key operations and played a pivotal role in formulating the commodity price risk management policy. Ma'am, could you share some of the core responsibilities in your role that you find most challenging, and perhaps how did you navigate the complexities of creating such a policy, especially when it came to aligning diverse stakeholders and ensuring its long-term impact on the company's financial stability?
Very true. This is a very pertinent question, and it was also one of my very treasured experience because when I joined my current company, the basic raw material here is linked to crude oil. So you know that this crude oil prices, they go up and down. The volatility is very high, and as a result, the raw materials which are used to manufacture our polymers, the final products, they also suffer on account of this volatility, suffer or enjoy the volatility either way. So when the crude prices go up, the product prices go up. But the but is very important. There is a tenor gap between the raw material procurement and its conversion into the finished goods.
Hmm.
So this tenor gap is actually killing when the crude prices fall, because the crude prices fall suddenly and the customer expects that the polymers would follow suit immediately. That doesn't happen because the polymer which has been produced from the high cost naphtha still remains at a higher cost and cannot be sold at a low price. And if it has to be sold, there is a definite erosion of margin. So that is where the business used to get hit. So we were bothered about the margins, not per se the raw material cost or per se the product price. It's the margins we needed to be protected, and we could not avoid the erosion of the margins. That is where commodity hedging became very important. So when I joined, I came up with this idea: why don't we go ahead and hedge this margin. So this is hedging and not per se speculation. We must differentiate hedging from speculation. It's not like the stock prices movement, we don't just invest, and we try to make profits. That's not the primary reason. The primary reason is to hedge and not to earn profits. So that particularly Reserve Bank of India is very, very, particular about this point. And hence, when the policy is made, it has to take care that this subtle, very, very, very fine gap between hedging and speculation is taken care of. So we had this cross-functional team again from sales, from procurement, from manufacturing, from logistics, and of course, finance and taxation teams. So we had identified multi-commodity exchange (MCX). They had another company called Financial Technologies who were largely into training and developing these commodity policy. So we took their help because they were experts. However, it was almost a year that these meetings with the cross-functional team members had to be held, and we had to find out a correlation with something which is volatile. So naphtha is not volatile, but crude is. So we had to find out a surrogate hedge for this. There were correlation coefficients. I had to which and variance calculations. So the technical knowledge also helped at that point of time. So this technology, this technical knowledge as well as the finance knowledge did help to keep all the stakeholders glued and focused onto what we wanted to achieve. So at the end of 1 year, we had drafted the policy, placed it to the board, and it was approved by the board in one shot, no questions asked. And that was the best part. And we applied subsequently for Reserve Bank of India approval, which also happened in about 2 months' time. So we had the basic necessary framework for us to launch the commodity hedging, and the company has been thereafter practicing it with front desk, identified front desk, back desk, MIS, and all those functions. It was a great experience indeed.
I think the intent was very correct, and that's why everyone saw it, and hence it moved forward smoothly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You worked extensively on global contracts, including with companies like BPCL and KPC. What are some of the key lessons you've learned from managing such large scale global negotiations, and how did you ensure alignment between financial and strategic objectives?
Okay. So, as I already shared, that we use naphtha as our basic raw material. So this naphtha, you need to have the supply stability primarily. So for supply stability, the specific quality which we use is not abundantly available in India. So whereas some like IOC, BPCL, HPCL, some manufacture this quality of naphtha, but the quantity is not sufficient to cater to our entire requirement. So we are forced to import. And we import from companies like Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, Kuwait Petroleum Company. These are the major suppliers of our quality of naphtha. So this KPC and ADNOC, they have these term contracts. The term contracts are for 1 year period, and they have not just one, they may have 2, 3 term contracts on a staggered basis. And the specific way they handle is they have these one annual negotiations, during which they call all their regular customers. It's usually held in the UK, London, or in Abu Dhabi, or in Singapore, which is considered the business hub of the southeastern region. So on this opportunity, I had quite a few visits to attend these negotiations. And although the general opinion is these contracts are more one-sided and little contribution from the customers, but I frankly, during my experience of 10 years that I was looking into this function, I did not find I really did not find them so rigid. In fact, when you the first of all I want to say is they are very, very well researched on the market, on the market dynamics, and they would share their research with you when you're there, and they would also listen to you. So like they would allow us to share with them what is our our idea about the market and the market dynamics and the future price movements for the forthcoming year. So they would hear us out in and out, and also note our requirements for the full year. So they would not make any commitment on the table, but it would be a very fruitful, good sharing of information. And they would do so with all their regular customers. They would go back and they would publish one particular premium, although the base price market determined, but the premium is something which we discuss and negotiate. So the premium, after having mutual discussions, they decide on a premium for each particular quality of naphtha, and that they notify to each of its customers, and also the volume allotted. So this is the way they do business. Now, if I have, say, something like multiple bill of ladings to help me enjoy more of buyer's credit. So supposedly that is one advantage that I get. And their contract says one single BL. So if I have myself reasoned with them, putting them across that agreeing to this request of ours really does not give them cost them anything. So it is not any does not cost have any financial impact. So it's but in a way helps me a lot.
Hmm.
So they are very flexible, I would say. They have actually approved multiple deals, and HPL is definitely enjoying the benefits thereafter. So this is just one such instance. There are many such instances wherein we have requested and they have been adhered to. Now, strategically, what is important is we do not tie up 100% on term basis, because then I am not leaving room for any kind of fluctuations in plant operation, and I am not leaving room for enjoying the spot market movements. So maybe I have a premium of say $10, but the market falls to $6 in for a couple of months. So I lose the benefit if I tie up on 100% term basis. So what has happened is that strategically we normally fix it at 70-75% term, the balance being kept for spot procurement to enjoy the spot premiums, as well as to make room for plant fluctuations. And companies do go for capacity cuts also. At times the markets are not too favorable, so to address such kind of queries. So this is how we have managed the raw material procurement, and it's been quite an enriching experience, I must say.
Ma'am, you've achieved remarkable success in a field where leadership positions have traditionally been dominated by men. Ma'am, as a woman leader in finance, you must have faced unique challenges, and we'd love to hear how you navigated those challenges over the years and what would be your advice to other women who aspire to reach leadership positions in the finance industry.
So you see, I went to a co-ed school. Basically, it started the thing started there, I would say, because my father insisted that co-ed schools are much better for genders of both genders. So they mix like friends, and the upbringing is you imbibe each other's qualities. It's a more holistic kind of a development. So possibly that decision of my father was the root thing. Going to a co-ed school, wherein we mutually developed or imbibed each other's qualities, both genders. So smartness, attitude, those are things which possibly the school had to contribute. However, as we progress along, if you say that women are specifically targeted, I wouldn't agree for that, because if you have the strength of the basic knowledge within you, and you have the relevant smartness and the transparency and the honesty, to serve, you face the same challenges that any other man would face. So for any junior to come up across up the career, the ladder, you have to come across challenges. So you have to prove yourself each time you change an organization. You are a new person into that organization. No, so you have to prove your worth. And that's true for a male as well as a female. So I have gone through challenges which any other man would face. So it's not that I have faced a complete acceptance immediately. So there has been challenges. If I put forward a opinion, it's not that it has gone just unchallenged, unquestioned. But at the same time, you have to hold on. You actually have to hold on. If you have to make people see your work, you just have to hold on. At the end of the day, if you are doing it honestly, If you are contributing it, it is visible. End of the day, it's visible. Your contribution is actually visible. And that is the time when, the opposite gender also takes you, irrespective of whether you're a female or a male. My male colleagues, yes, it's true that we are only a few females in finance, like a countable few. In a domain of 70 to 100 in this function, we are only a couple, say 4 or 5, in management position. So still, the acceptance level is just too good. Not initially, yes, as I again said. So there are, if you say, like, if you have done something, and the your counterpart or in the team member would like to take the credit of doing so. So that is not something which is particular to a female or particular to a male. That can happen with a male colleague as well as a female person. So such kind of challenges you have to face. But end of the day, if you have done something, the basic, the roots of it. You have the in-depth knowledge of how you went about it. You're able to speak up for yourself. You're able to present yourself in the management, and management does know who is doing what. So end of the day, it's not really a male versus female. It's a normal challenge any particular field would.
Ma'am, with your extensive experience in corporate finance, what are you most excited about in the next phase of your career? Do you see yourself taking on new leadership roles or influencing major decisions at the boardrooms? And how do you hope to shape the future of business in a way that leaves a lasting impact?
Yes. So, what is like why I took up this particular course with the Directors Institute is primarily because of uh, the next planning that I have. Because now, almost with 30 years of experience in the industry, so I have had exposures to finance. I have had exposures to technology sales, to sale of products and accounts, taxation within finance, to strategy. So all areas having ventured into, and by now having gathered substantial experience in all these areas too, I am looking forward to a position where I can contribute from an overall perspective, not merely from finance perspective. So that is where I'm looking at to a position of a CFO position, to be a board member, and in a couple of years, I intend to be there. So that was my intent when I joined the DI course. And now, why so? Because, when we are in the board taking decisions, discussing some issues, some very important issues. So the balance is the most important part. The decision has to be balanced. The decision cannot be, just from finance, just from strategy, just from production, just from profitability. No. So the decision has to be a balanced one, taking into consideration both HR perspective, a very important decision. You have to consider the environment. You have to consider, of course, the profitability. You have to consider investor relationships, which is very vital for a business. So that is where this 3 decades of experience is supposed to come use of. So that is where I am looking at. I'm not really satisfied just merely doing my finance role. So I'm actually looking up to contributing at board level, helping board to take decisions which would be sustainable for the business, not merely profitable. So that is my next venture, aspiration, whatever you may call it.
Ma'am, as companies face increasing scrutiny from stakeholders, how do you think boards can strike the right balance between risk management, innovation, and ethical responsibility? And what key does corporate governance practices, how do you believe they're crucial to ensure long-term sustainability and trust in today's business environment?
Very good question, I must say, because it's almost a corollary of the question that we were discussing just before. So it's no more, just profitability. It is just no more. Business is not just merely to earn profits. Such businesses would not be sustainable in the long run. So if you have to strike a balance between risk management, innovation, and sustenance, so there has to be, a strategy wherein the board members, wherein it is a drill down to executive levels also. You take care of the environment, you take care of these social aspects, merely also considering, each individual who is serving the company, is part of a system which who is impacted by all decisions which are happening within the company. So be it a capacity cut, be it a new branch opening, be it a new product line. So all these are definitely going to impact not only the business, but the society at large. So society is one important, the social aspect of the decision making is very important. And environment per se, we have, out of our all our ignorance, I would say, we have harmed the environment beyond measures. So it's time that whenever business decisions are taken, we look into the environment perspective, the water management, the
Yeah.
waste management, the pollution control. These are very important and vital decisions which need to be taken. Of course, there are regulatory authorities, and who are also putting in their labor to control these environmental impacts. But in business, we have a moral responsibility to also not only abide by them, to do plus one step ahead. And the governance is all about the ESG. The governance is all about, the corporate governance is about looking into this environment, this social impact, in a way to structure the organization in a way that these become, it comes into the blood of the people who are the employees, as well as all the stakeholders. And you have to be honest, these decisions have to be informed to the board members, the investors, in a way that they are also part of the system. They are supportive in the role, and no company today would, just merely consider profits if they want to be sustainable. So that is how I believe a balance can be struck between innovation, profit, sustenance, environment, and yet we can move along.
True. Ma'am, could you share more about your ongoing involvement with Directors Institute? What has been the most rewarding aspect of this experience for you, and how do you see it influencing your approach to governance and leadership in the future?
So, when I started off with Directors Institute, I was actually researching on quite a number of options. But why Directors Institute? Because, I was initially very apprehensive of what would be the course content, of how I would move along. But a few references here and there was already there to take my decision. But as I went along with the course, I found it, expanse of it is something which I never expected. The content, the expanse, and the way of teaching. It's so crisp. It's so it is like very pertinent. You know, it doesn't beat about the bush. There were ideas in my mind about ESG, about ESG investing. So these were ideas in something which we read here there, but they were all like not very focused kind of an information. But when I have completed, I already have completed the independent directors program, and I am on to my international directors program. I'm also doing the ESG. So simple hazy ideas, now I have so much of focused in-depth knowledge now, from where I feel now more confident to not only talk about it, to really influence decisions which are being taken within my company right now and in future, of course, at board level, which I of course look up to. So I would really thank the Directors Institute for doing this kind of a beneficial program for people who have aspirations, who want to contribute, and who are currently having some, disconnected information, for them to be really knowledgeable and have a grip of the entire thing. Thanks, Director Institute, from my side as well.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your thoughts about your whole experience. Your experience and thoughtful perspective on leadership, governance, and the future of business are truly inspiring. So, on behalf of the entire Directors Institute, we wish you continued success in all your future endeavors and look forward to seeing the ever growing impact you're having on the world in your work and otherwise. Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am,
you.
and lovely meeting you.
Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you. Thank you once.
Same. Thank you. That brings us to the end of today's episode. We trust you found Miss Bandyopadhyay's insights as enriching as we did. We Be sure to join us for more thought provoking discussions with distinguished leaders in future episodes. Until then, may you continue to lead with purpose and make meaningful impact in your respective fields.